Hey y'all, Knox here with the American Suppressor Association, and welcome to the April 2025 Suppressor Policy Update. If you've been tuning in every month, you know that things have been moving fast, and April was no exception. We've got big changes at ATF, action in the courts, and wait times are at historic lows, so let's dive in. In early April, we learned that President Trump tapped Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll to replace Kash Patel as acting director of the ATF. A combat veteran, Driscoll was actually a classmate of Vice President J.D. Vance at Yale Law School. As the acting director, Driscoll can serve for up to 210 days, although he would be allowed to serve throughout the nomination process if and when President Trump names a permanent successor in that timeframe. I'd be lying if I said we knew a lot about Driscoll, but we do know this. President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, Acting Director Patel, and now Acting Director Driscoll are making good on the president's campaign promise to end the weaponization of the federal government and the ATF. This month, we have seen a mass exodus of ATF officials who played a direct role in things like the pistol brace ruling and the infamous zero tolerance policy. So thank you to the administration for taking action to ensure that those responsible for targeting law-abiding gun owners are no longer in positions of power within the ATF. There's still a lot of work to be done, but as a direct result, we are in a better position now than we've ever been. Now, we are still waiting on a response from the Department of Justice to the President's pro-Second Amendment executive order. We could be wrong, but from our perspective, the delay signals that the administration is working hard to get it right rather than out the door prematurely. We don't know exactly what it will say, but we remain optimistic that it could create a seismic shift in the way the federal government treats the Second Amendment. As soon as we know more, we will let you know. Perhaps the biggest news in the suppressor litigation space this month was the DOJ's request on April 23rd for another 30-day extension to reevaluate the government's position on suppressors. In case you don't remember, on February 6th, a 3-judge panel in the Fifth Circuit issued a ruling in U.S. v. Peterson, stating that suppressors are not arms and therefore are not protected by the Second Amendment. To put it mildly, we could not disagree more. Suppressors are in fact arms, especially when you consider that the act that is restricted is the use of a suppressor in conjunction with a firearm. Shortly after the February 6th decision, the Defendant's Counsel brought on Cooper and Kirk to petition the Fifth Circuit for an en banc review. For those who don't know, Cooper and Kirk is the same law firm that the ASA Foundation and Silencer Shop retained for the legal challenge to the ban on suppressors in Illinois. More on that later. Well, on March 17th, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Louisiana issued a response in which he argued against the petition for en banc review. We pushed back, and it appears that someone within the Trump administration took our side because following our calls for the DOJ to reconsider its stance on suppressors, the government filed a new motion asking the court for a 30-day delay on the ruling for en banc review to give the government time to reevaluate its position. Fast forward to March 24th, and Chad Mizell, Chief of Staff to Attorney General Bondi, put out a tweet on X stating that, quote, the department will be reevaluating some of its recent litigation positions on Second Amendment issues, including silencers. Those 30 days came and went, but on April 23rd, the government asked for another 30-day extension. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would rather the government take their time and get it right than rush an unfinished product out the door. As long as they assert that suppressors are protected by the Second Amendment, well, you know what they say. All's well that ends well. I guess we'll just have to wait a little bit longer to see. Speaking of litigation, this past February, Judge Dugan scheduled a hearing to take place on April 9th to address the state of Illinois' motion for judgment on the pleadings in the Anderson v. Raul case. For those who are unfamiliar, Anderson v. Raul is the ASA Foundation and Silencer Shop-backed lawsuit challenging the Illinois ban on suppressors. The hearing was pushed to April 30th, which unfortunately is a day after filming, so sadly I won't have a big update in this particular video. That said, we will film an update for you when I get back from my trip to DC, so stay tuned for more. According to ATF, for the month of February, eForm 4s averaged 24 days for individuals and 34 days for trusts. Fast forward to March, and those averages dropped to 10 days for individuals and 16 days for trusts with a median processing time of just 5 days. As of April 29th, the wait range for Silencer Shop customers is 1 to 16 days with a median of just 2 days for individuals and 6 days for trusts. The coolest part about these times is that the NFA division processed over 102,000 Form 4s in March, almost all of which were for suppressors. To put that in perspective, that's almost as many Form 4s as they received in all of 2017. To be clear, there shouldn't be any delay at all, but relative to where we were a couple years ago, they may as well be processing these forms at light speed. On April 18th, the National Rifle Association hosted their inaugural America's Rifle Challenge match at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. Centered around ARs, the match was really a beta test of the NRA's new America's Rifle Challenge program, which is designed to get experienced and new shooters out to the range and exposed to action shooting sports. One of the coolest things for us is that they will be actively encouraging participants to shoot suppressed. I was fortunate to get an invite to come check it out, and I have to say, I am incredibly impressed. It was my first competition in about 15 years, and I was relieved to see how accessible the setup is for people of all skill sets. I ended up placing second in the Level 2 stock division, and considering I was shooting at targets up to 500 yards with a 6 MOA Vortex red dot, I'm really not too mad about how I did. I've also got to say, I think that the rebranding of AR to America's Rifle is a stroke of genius, and I don't know about you, but I plan on using that terminology exclusively moving forward. Special thanks to Cole, Chad, and Josh at the NRA for setting it up and inviting us out there to participate. The full launch of the ARC program is still a few months out, but if you want to learn more in the meantime, visit arc.nra.org. That's arc.nra.org. This year, the NRA annual meeting was held in Atlanta, Georgia from April 24th to the 27th and saw 70,000 attendees walk through the doors throughout the weekend. The whole ASA team was there, visiting with members, checking out our sponsors' newest and coolest gear, and honestly, having a great time all around. Earlier this month, I found out that I was elected to the NRA Board of Directors, which made this annual meeting extra special for me. For everyone that cast a vote in my favor, thank you so much for your support. I am incredibly proud to serve on the NRA board and will do everything I can to ensure the organization does right by the Second Amendment, by NRA members, and by every law-abiding gun owner in America. On Monday the 28th, I was sworn in at my first board meeting, which turned out to be a 15 or so hour marathon. I'm not at liberty to discuss many of the specifics, but I can say this. I am incredibly excited with the direction newly elected President Bill Bockenberg is taking the organization, and I look forward to being part of the solution. Well, that's all I've got for this month. If you like what we're doing and want to support our work, click the link below or visit us at asamember.com. That's asamember.com to join or donate to ASA today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.